Today we're going to be making giant flowers, giant paper flowers. This one here probably looks more giant than it actually is because it's a little bit closer to you. But they do look very, very effective. You know, whether you have them just mounted on a wall, you can sort of stick a little drawing pin back through the back, or whether you want to maybe decorate a shed for summer, or whether you want them for a birthday or a wedding or an anniversary, something to sort of decorate the home. They really are very effective and quite easy to make. So I thought we'd have a go at making one today. So what you're going to need is a wad of paper. Now I have used white in this instance, so basically sort of copy paper that you can use. You can get it in different colours. It's a nice sort of green colour, but that's the sort of size that you need. You do need probably, I would say, around about sort of 2 dozen sheets of the paper to get started. You can use something different, something maybe like if you have an old map book in the back of the car that nobody uses, you know, they are actually quite big. I think they're sort of A3 size, so you could maybe, if nobody uses it, you could maybe do something like that, or maybe use a old catalogue or magazine, something like that. So you can make them sort of a little bit more interesting and a little bit quirky. So probably the first thing to do is to decide what paper you want to use and to sort of gather that. You will also need a pair of scissors that aren't your fabric scissors, because you don't want to blunt your fabric scissors, so you're going to be doing a lot of paper cutting, and either a glue stick, or I have a cool melt gun, which are quite good because you get the same sort of effect, although you have to work quite quickly with a cool melt, but you don't get the heat, or you know, the chance of hurting yourself if it's somebody younger doing it. Okay, so if you do have hot glue gun, please be really, really careful. Make sure that you keep your fingers out of the way. With a Pritt stick or a glue stick, you may just need some pegs, or if you're using PVA. So if you're using that sort of glue that isn't a sort of hot version, you might just need some pegs, so that when you actually place the petals together as you gather them in the pleat, that you've got a peg to sort of hold it. So once the peg's held it and it dries, then you'll be able to sort of go on to the next stage. So for that, it might take you a little bit longer, but that's fine. We can carry on. You can come back to this when you like. 6 sheets of paper gone straight away there. Okay, so we need 6 of each of the sizes, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then the smallest one we're going to need, well, 18 of those, but obviously you can get more of those onto one page. Okay, so have a go at making a template. You can sort of get them online. I will try and put the link on for this, and then we can get started, and I will show you how to curl and create. What we've got now is we have the template and we've cut out each sort of petal size. Okay, if you can work like this, it's really good, rather than using 5 different sheets of paper to do it. If you can be really careful and just draw around the outside. So you're going to get your sheet of paper, and so you will use a fair amount. I'll show you on this green one so you can see what I'm doing. And you're literally sort of going to line it up. That one does just reach the edges because it's trying to make the petal as big as possible. So you're just going to sort of draw around the outside, and once you've drawn around the outside, you're going to cut it. But you're going to cut it trying to make sure that you cut the pencil mark off, because you don't want a load of pencil marks on your petals. So either to cut it out or to rub it out. Okay, so if you're really careful, you could probably do sort of 2 at a time, and you can cut that out. Okay, so once you've marked it out, you're going to cut it out. I am trying to sort of cut 3 at a time to try and save a little bit of time. As I say, make sure you don't use your fabric scissors. Okay, so it is something that you could do with other people as well, because somebody can cut them out. You could do it together. Alright, so that's the sort of the big one. You're going to end up with 6 of those, and then 6 of the next ones, 6 of the next ones, and then the very tiny ones you're going to end up with 18. So I'm going to leave you to start cutting out, and then I'll come back to you in a moment, and then we'll see how we get on. Just a little note as you get down to the third one down, so the biggest you're going to use 6 sheets of paper because they're full size. The next one down, similar, you're going to use because they're just that bit too big. By the time you get to the third one down, okay, you're going to be able to just use 3 sheets of paper and fold them in half. So you can fold them in half and sort of draw around it, so that saves you paper. And then obviously with the smaller one, you should be able to fold it 2 or 3 times. Okay, so you've got your big sheets now. What you're going to do is you're going to curl the edges of the rose petals. Okay, so basically I'm just using a Sharpie, and what you do is you take it sort of to the end of the petal and you sort of roll it up and give it a sort of few rolls there, and then it sort of gets a natural curl on the paper. Okay, so once you've done that, you're going to make a cut. So this is the base of the petal. So with your scissors in the middle, you're going to cut a cut up there, probably about 2 inches. Okay, and then this is where we use the glue. So you make sure that the curl is going on the outside of the petal, and then we are going to join it. I'm going to use my glue gun at this point. So make sure it's sort of plugged in, ready to go. You're just going to put a dab of glue on there, and then that is going to sort of overlap that. Okay, as I say, if you're using a glue stick at this point, this is where you will sort of have your petals sort of setting, ready to go. Okay, so that is the larger petal ready to go. You're going to do that sort of for all of them apart from the smallest one. When you've done all your 6 big ones, so you're starting to do your very big petals, you're doing the roll curl, which goes on the outside, and then you make a snip about 2.5 inches up, and then you fold it over. So I'll just demonstrate that again. So we're going to use our Sharpie just to give it a sort of a few rolls, just to give it that curl. And depending on the weight of your paper, you know, it might do it more easily than others. Okay, so you put the curl on the outside, you make the incision, and you put a sort of bit of glue on that side, and you sort of push it over and secure it. Okay, once you've done all 6 of these, you then just going to make a circle for the base. Okay, because it needs something to sort of sit on. I don't know if you can see that on there. Okay, so we've got our circle. We've started. You've got to get 6 of these on, and they are quite big, so you've got to sort of position them. So I've got the first one on there, and I'm going to secure the second one. And it's about sort of building it, really. It's your rose. You might want to use less petals. You might find on your first one that you use less. I think that one of mine has 1 less, I think. And then as you get practice, you might want to put more in. It's entirely up to you. So 1, 2, 3. 4. So you see you're making a huge base there. I'm just going to rejoin the other 2. I've just readjusted mine as you have to make sure I've started on a square piece of paper this time so that I can cut it off at a later date. When you do your base petals are the most important, because obviously that's going to make sure how much room you've got left inside. So you know, it just depends on that as to what you can get inside it. So try and space it out, but it is important that you've got this curl on the petals so that it does naturally sort of splay out. So it's really important when you're doing your petals to make sure that you've got that curl on the petals. because that's sort of what makes the space inside. So you can do it on a square piece. I've sort of opted actually for just a piece of A4. And for your base petals, well, for all of them actually, you've got to make sure that as you put one in, that the next one overlaps. So it overlaps the previous petal, and you do that all the way around. If you don't do that, then you won't fit all 6 in. Okay, so that's all the base petals in. Next we're going to put these in, and it's the same principle. You have to make sure that they've got the nice curl on the edge, and you can actually sort of, if you wanted to, you could sort of add some colour, some tint to it, and then when you're going to place your petal in, you make sure you've got sort of dab of glue. But this again is going to overlap 2, so it's going to go as far back as it can, and it's going to overlap the second size of petals that you're putting in. And you've already rolled the top, the petal back, and you're just working now on positioning these petals in. So you put a dab of glue on the base, and then it's about where you position it. And as I said, you have to make sure that they are going to overlap, and just push it back as far as you can and secure. I think this might be the last one of this one. This is 5. And the last one just sort of overlaps in there. Okay, so we're going to go for the next size down. So in actual fact, when you get a bit sort of more confident, you should be able to do maybe half of them at the same time, if not 6 of them. Okay, so that's my cut, and then you could use actually a glue stick or a pen, depending on how tight you want the roll. I'm not going to do it that tight. Okay, so you will have to do these separately, and this is to be fair, that will take the time. Okay, there's some lovely paper crafts actually that you can do, making, you know, different things out of things that you've got at home, and it doesn't have to be brand new paper. It can be, you know, recycled things, could be newspaper, can be old maps, something that you find. It does need something a little bit sturdier with this one, so you couldn't really use tissue paper for this one. It's not that type of flower. There are different types of flowers to do something like that. Maybe you could let me know what paper crafts you have done and which ones you found the most enjoyable. So this is the next size. As I say, you're going to make sure that's at the opposite side. Put your glue and secure. This cool melt gun I got from Hobbycraft, and I love it. You do have to work fairly fast. You can't sort of put some glue on it and then sort of dilly-dally too much, but it's not too hot. It is warm, you know, but it won't sort of burn you like the some of the hot glue metal guns are quite hot to the touch. Okay, so that's the next row, and then we bring our, so we've got all those together, and we'll bring our rows back, and we're going to, again, it's the same principle. You're going to do the overlapping, right, and it's trying to keep it as sort of far back to the wall as you can, because when you get to the inner ones, there's quite a lot to get in, and you might not get them all in, but it is sort of a bit of trial and error and see what you do. And to be fair, they all look gorgeous anyway. So my first one, I'm going to start in the middle. There's 2 petals there, and you have to just sort of push it down. If you have got a hot melt gun, maybe use something to prod it down with, because you are sort of in a confined area there, and you do have to wait until it just cools a little bit to secure it. and make sure you've got enough glue sticks before you start. Nothing worse than getting halfway through. So at this point you could sort of do half of this, but just not secured very well. Make all the petals and then come back to this another time. And so it's making the petals that take the time. But it's that overlapping, making sure, and you can readjust as you go. But they can be used instead of bunting, you know, to decorate for a birthday. You could almost actually, if you got a little bit of string or cotton, you know, you could dangle them from trees in the garden. Okay, make sure that they're rolled. So that it creates enough space. I don't actually have paper crafts on the shop on the website, but I do have lots of sort of fabric craft kits, different things that, you know, people who just starting craft. There's lots of things for all sorts of abilities. I've just today got some new Tilly and the Buttons fabric patterns in, which will be in different kit forms, so you get a choice of fabrics on those, and then when you get them you get everything in it to sort of complete the outfit. So they are quite nice. So we're getting new things in all the time, so you know, we do have a sign up form there, so if you want to keep up to date with everything that's happening, just bob your email on it. I think that's on Facebook and on the website, and then we can bob you on that list, and then you will be studio online ones. If you wanted to do one with a couple of friends, or you wanted to do one on Zoom with some friends, and just get in contact and we can see what we can do. Right, so we've done the next lot. It starts to get a little bit more fiddly. You see sort of the centre there. That just to make sure some of the things are secure in the bottom. It's not going to look too good from a camera shot because you can't really see what I'm doing, but I have to just see what I can do. So again, you just put in a little bit of glue and you're putting it over the join, so where they overlap, as it would do in nature, you're placing the next petal. Look, you know, good in the summer, but also, you know, at Christmas time you could do sort of some Christmas roses. They would look rather fabulous, and something a little bit different, you know, than your normal sort of Christmas decorations. Okay, so we're getting a little bit closer in. What I'll do, I'll show you one row of the small ones, and then I'll show you how to do the final inner part. So yeah, we are getting quite sort of tight in there, but you can sort of see the effect that you're getting. All right. So whereas the other ones all overlapped each other, with these tiny ones you might get 2 to a petal. You've got 18 of these ones, so I've just made them all up basically, and then you can go with it. So if you're doing it with somebody, maybe somebody could do the cutting and then the folding over and the gluing, just to give you time. Now this is a bit of a tricky one. You might not get all 18 in. Just running out of glue again. But see how you go. It's how you want it to look. So you might get 2 or 3 rounds of these, but you do still need a gap in the centre. This one might not be as good as my other one because I'm trying to see that you can see it on the camera and maybe not thinking too much about the positioning of these. Okay, if you sort of think, oh, there's a craft that I really like, a paper craft, or that you really quite fancy being shown how to do, just drop me a line and I'll see what I can do, see if I can find something or whether we can incorporate it into our live premieres. The next one we hope is going to be a sewing one, but it'll be a fairly sort of hand sewing one, a sort of fairly basic one. So as you've done the first one, then the next round is going to sort of overlap the joins on the other one, but again you might get a few more in. Just be careful where you place your hot glue gun if you're using that one. Okay, we're about getting there, I think. I hope you're getting on well with yours. I say you might find that you need to do a couple just to sort of get the hang of it, to see how you want to create yours. But I say the rolling is quite important. Make sure that you've got space for it. So when you get down to the bottom, the finishing ones, I maybe finish there for mine, just to sort of show you what to do next. So the bit in the middle, sort of the stamens, if you like, or on this one, you can see the central part is slightly different. So you've got all your six lots of petals that overlap each other, and then as you get down into the middle, you've got sort of your, hopefully your 18, or certainly more than 6. You need to do about 2 rounds of those. And then for this part in the middle, it is a piece of paper that is folded and then rolled and cut. So if you're using the sort of the same colour, I think what I did was a half piece of paper. So make sure that you cut it in half. Obviously yours is going to be much more precise and done with care. And you fold it along there. And what you're going to do is to make some snips along this folded edge. So you have to make sure it's sort of, I'm sure it's oh, maybe it wasn't. Maybe it was along that. So you could do it either. But the trick is not to go to the end. Okay. So if you want it to look fuller, then you're going to use this one. So I'm using approximately about 2 to 3 millimeter snips, or if you've got those fabulous French scissors that cut multiples, they're really useful. You could actually do it not as high as this, so in effect you would just use this part and then fold it in half and do a similar thing. It also depends how much space you've got in the middle of your rows. And what you're going to do after this, after you've done all the snips, is you're going to roll it. And as you roll it, you create sort of like a wheel in effect. And the base of the wheel is that bit that's going to be attached. So that will be hot glue gunned into the centre. Okay. So then what you're going to do is you're going to roll it. And this is why you can't cut it too far, because you want to make sure that they all stay attached. And if you can see, and it does sort of move a little bit, you just have to adjust it as you're going round. What you can do, or you could do at the beginning as well, is just to make sure we're not having any glue coming through. There we go. So you're making sure that it's staying. And again, I am rushing a little bit with this, trying to show you. And obviously it will need a dab of glue at the end, just to secure it. So this is sort of like a quarter of the width, because we used half a piece, didn't we? And it's a good job we've got cool melt guns. Okay, and you can sort of spray it out a little bit. You can do that more when it's in position, because what you're going to do is you're going to turn it over and you're going to put some glue on here and then secure it in the center of your rose. Okay, so I'm just going to put some glue on there, and then it's going to, see, I could actually have got some more of those 6 ones in. So can you see the center? That's going to be the center of the rose. So in effect, when you've finished, you can cut the base into a round. If you have something like a paper plate, they're a really good base to start with. Okay, I hope you've enjoyed that.
So you should have completed your rose by now. I hope you got a lot out of that video. And as I say, you get different colours, different styles. Please let me know if you liked it, or let people know as well and share it. Okay, hope to see you next time. Thank you. Bye bye.